This module is identify and select automotive parts and products. And there are three learning objectives: the identify the part, product, and its end use, identify details of the part or product, and the part of product is supplied or ordered for customer. So we first try to look into the main parts of an automobile or the basic components of a car. And first of which would be the chassis. So the chassis of an automobile incorporates all of the major assemblies consisting of an engine, the components of a transmission, and the suspension system. In other words, it is the vehicle without its body. So the chassis of an automobile has the frame, has the suspension system, axles, and wheel as the main components. The frame could be in the form of conventional chassis or unit construction may be adapted. So in a conventional chassis frame, the frame forms the main skeleton of vehicle. It supports engine, power transmission, and car body. The frame is supported on the wheels and axles through springs. The frame carries the weight of the vehicle and passengers. It withstands engine, transmission accelerating, and braking torques. It also withstands the centrifugal forces while cornering and takes up stresses due to the rise and fall of axles. In the unit construction type, there is no frame. The structure of the body of the automobile is first formed, and then different components such as the engine, transmission system, and the other parts are placed at suitable places in the body structure. So the transmission system itself consists of the number of parts such as the clutch, the assembly, the gearbox, propeller shaft, differential, and axles. And the other parts include the interior details which are utilized by the passengers and drivers of the vehicle. Through suitable designing, the parts are so arranged that they provide maximum comfort and make journeys in an automobile enjoyable. The other parts of the chassis are suspension system, axles, and wheel. The suspension system absorbs the vibrations due to up and down movements of the wheels. Springs and shock absorbers connecting the frame and the axle perform this function. The springs can be leaf spring, coil spring, or torsion bar. Even rubber or air can form the material of springs. The wheels of the vehicle can be suspended independently on springs or on spring suspended axles. So the axle may be live if power from the engine is transmitted to it. It may be a dead axle if no power is supplied to it, and it is just supporting the weight of the vehicle. In four-wheel drive, the power is supplied to both the axles and therefore both the axles are live. In addition to providing support to the weight of the vehicle, the axle also resists the stresses due to braking and driving torque. In the other parts that we'll be talking about later, we will be mentioning some of the parts that I have talked about earlier already. So as you can see in this picture, we have here the shock absorber, the cross member, the steering linkage, the frame, and then the side member. These are the basic parts of the chassis. The next car part is the engine. So the engine is the source of power to an automobile. Obviously, it is a very important part of the automobile because in the absence of an engine, the automobile may not move at all, and its basic function of transporting passengers or goods would be defeated. The power of the engine determines the working of the automobile. In the same manner, the efficiency of the engine determines the efficiency of an automobile. The engine nowadays is invariably an internal combustion system. This may be a spark ignition engine consuming petrol as fuel. Alternatively, it could be a compression ignition engine using diesel or fuel. The engine used are multi-cylinder engines. A single cylinder engine, though, capable of providing desired power, may become very heavy and therefore may be unsuitable. In a multi-cylinder engine, each cylinder handling a smaller amount of power may keep engine light in weight. In an internal combustion engine, total heat produced by the burning of fuel is not converted into work. Part of it causes overall heating of engine, which is undesirable. This heat is to be dissipated properly. Coolant in the form of air or water may be used to take away this heat. So an engine can be air cooled or water cooled. These days, some chemicals have been developed which have a cooling property and they remain unaffected for a longer period of time. These chemicals are being used as coolants, and these do not require frequent replacement. Apart from their long life, they are more sufficient also. Similarly, lubrication is another aspect to be taken care of an engine requiring periodic attention from the user. The moving parts in an engine need regular lubrication to reduce unwanted friction. The chemistry of lubricant is now highly developed. There is a standard rating for lubricants, and for every purpose, a specific lubricant is available. You can see here in the drawing the different parts of an engine. Here is an exploded view of the engine, showing also the different parts. We go to the third part of the car. We have the transmission system. So the transmission system transmits power developed by the engine to the road wheels. The movement is to be transferred to the road wheels to cause their rotary motion. Their rotary motion makes possible the movement of the vehicle. The road wheels are at the ends of the axle, so the moving is transmitted through these parts. Every part of the transmission system perform its own function. So under the transmission system, we have the clutch. The clutch, part of the transmission system, is next to the crankshaft. So in the picture, you can see here examples of clutches. It is a mechanism enabling the rotary motion of one shaft transmitted to the second shaft at will. When the engine starts, it should not be connected to road wheels. These should not start moving as soon as the engine starts. Secondly, this motion should be smoothly transferred so that passengers in the car do not feel discomfort and its mechanism is not spoiled. In the case of vehicles used for transportation of goods, the smooth transmission process is essential as otherwise it may cause damage to goods. The second part of the transmission system is the gearbox. So the gearbox is the component of the transmission system next to the clutch. It has got a gear train and it provides different gear ratios. These ratios determine the rotary speed of output shaft from the gearbox. The torque transmitted to the road wheels gives rise to the propulsive force or tractive effort between these and the road. When starting from rest, a large tractive effort is required. This makes essential the introduction of considerable leverage between the engine and the wheels so that the torque from the engine, which is almost constant, produces the large tractive effort. This is a picture of the transmission system with the gearbox, the propeller shaft, the rear drive axle, and the differential. So the third part of the transmission system is the differential. The differential is the next component of the transmission system. The motion of propeller shaft is fed to the differential, which turns it through 90 degrees. This is essential as the axle is 90 degrees to the propeller shaft. The function is performed with the help of a pinion and a gear. Another important function of the differential is to reduce the speed of inner wheels and at the same time enhance the speed of outer wheels by the same amount. This is required when the automobile is moving on a curved path. On a curved path, the outer wheels are required to traverse a circle of bigger radius than the inner wheels. This means that the outer wheels are required to traverse larger distance as compared to the inner wheels. As the automobile is to move as a single unit, all the four wheels must travel together. Therefore, the outer wheels should travel larger distance and inner wheels should travel smaller distance in the same period of time. Hence, the variation in the speed of inner and outer wheels is needed. This is performed by the differential with the help of sun and planet gear system. Next part of the transmission system is the axle. So the axle is the next component and it receives power from the engine as it is termed as live axle. It is in two halves or in halves. The ends of the axle have road wheels connected to it. The road wheels are in direct contact with the road surface. The body of the automobile is above the axle. The axle also takes up the various loads, including the weight of the automobile. It also transmits motion to the road wheels. The next part of the car is the body. So you can see here in the picture the different parts. The use of a separate frame to which the body structure is attached is now almost obsolete except for those applications of heavy-duty commercial vehicles. Many heavy vehicles now use subframes of simple construction to which the engine and gearbox are attached already. The subframe is supported on the main frame and is fixed on it through some suitable rubber connections to isolate the engine vibrations. Due to the development in spot welding and sheet pressing techniques, most of the vehicles have integral construction. All the assembly units of the vehicles are attached to the body, which also acts as the frame. It makes the vehicle compact, lightweight, and also its cost is reduced. Some intermediate designs using a light chassis and a pressed steel body are also in use. The light chassis in such designs is strengthened by using platforms made of sheet of steel. Apart from the four basic components described above, the automobile has the control systems and auxiliary. The control systems are used to control the motion of an automobile and therefore are essential in an automobile. These include the steering system, the braking system, or the brakes. So let's talk about the steering system. Here is an example of a steering system. The automobile, while moving, may be required to traverse a circular path. It has to be turned through some angle if the path is not straight. There may be other situations also when the road is turning toward left or right, and an automobile is required to turn to left or to right. This turning of the automobile towards left or right or on the curved path is provided through steering mechanism. The steering system is required to be quite accurate as the automobile should turn accurately along with the path. So that is the job of the steering system. What about the braking system? So this causes a reduction in the speed of the vehicle and brings it to rest when necessary. Bringing an automobile to rest is as important as its movement. Obviously, when we have reached our destination, we would like to stop, and therefore the vehicle should come to rest. Also, there may be some kind of emergency, and vehicle may be required to slow down or stop on the way. At that time, also its motion is to be controlled. This control on the motion is provided by the help of the braking system or the brakes. The auxiliary parts or other parts of the car. So these are the components of an automobile which may not be essential, but it can make the driving more comfortable. So in the picture here, in the frame here, I've given three, okay? But of course, there are a lot of examples of the auxiliaries. So the fact is that with the passage of time, some auxiliaries became essential already. A few years back, the indicators to indicate the turning vehicle were not used. But now these have been mandatory by the government. Through air conditioner, though air conditioner is not essential and is just to provide comfort conditions, now it is provided in every vehicle in developed countries and is being adopted by more and more people. The study of automobile engineering involves going through an in-depth study of all the components and parts of the car. These include the engine, the transmission system, the control, and the auxiliary system. The part and product information may include the manufacturer or component supplier specifications and technical documentation, enterprise procedures and documentation, enterprise or industry specifications, diagrams, sketches, verbal descriptions, and physical and visual evidence. So, this information is very important for you to know which particular brand or which particular part are you going to buy that is suitable for your car. So, here is an example of a car parts tag catalog. So, the parts cataloging systems may be hard copy, maybe book fast, maybe loose leaf, standalone computer or networked or online computer supported services. This is another one. So it's showing different versions of car. Okay. Next is the information gathering techniques. So customer may require active assistance and questioning to fully describe requirement in terms of common vehicle or unit model, date of manufacture, purpose and appearance of product, and other tracking information. For the legislative requirements, statutory and regulatory authorities may include federal, state, and territory and local authorities administering acts, regulations, and codes of practice. It goes on saying we have to follow the rules of our government. Quality requirements include regulations, including Philippine standards, enterprise quality policy, standards, operations, and procedures. Thank you very much for listening. That's all for today, and I'll see you again next time.